Hello and welcome to the next video, which I believe is video number 8 in the financing, capital budgeting and investment sequence. And in this video, we will be talking about one of my favorite topics, which are options. And more specifically, we will be discussing what payoffs may you realize when you are investing in options, and what are some of the strategies that you may want to pursue with option trading. So let's have a very simple example. Let's say we have a call option with a strike price of 20. Now, what does that mean? We have already discussed this in class, but just to reiterate, and in case you are watching this video ahead of our classroom discussions, call option means it is an option to buy an asset, a stock, a bond, currency, doesn't matter. So call means buy, option, again, option is a right, not an obligation. You have a right to do this, but if you don't want it, tear this option apart, throw it in the garbage bin. Strike price of 20 means that you can buy this at 20 bucks. And let's say that the price of this option or the term for that is premium is $1. We will be actually spending quite a lot of time on day 2 of our block course discussing how to actually determine the option premium. But here, for the sake of simplicity, for the sake of exposition, let me just assume that you paid $1 to have this right. Okay, so let's run through a couple of scenarios. And let's say that the stock price, let's say this is a stock option, is $26 at the end of this option's lifetime. So what is my profit or loss from having this option? My profit is $5. How did I get this number? How did I get $5? I have a right to buy a $26 asset for $6 less. So I buy this asset for $20 and I immediately resell it for $26. I pocket $6. However, my profit is not 6, it's 5, because I paid $1 for the privilege. That is non-refundable. I hope this makes sense. So let's look at scenario 2. Let's say my stock price is 38. What is my profit or loss associated with this transaction? Well, you may have guessed already, it's $17. I pocket this $18 difference. I buy something for 20 that is worth 38, immediately resell it for 38. But since I've paid $1, I have to subtract that. So this is plus 17. Okay, so these are all good scenarios. But what if the stock price equals 17? This option is out of the money. That's the terminology. In this case, the option is in the money, which means that it's worthwhile to exercise it. In this case, the option is out of the money. Why on earth would I pay $20 for something that's worth 17? I throw this option in my garbage bin. It expires without being exercised. What is my loss? Now let's look at scenario 4. Stock price drops all the way to $3. What's my profit or loss here? Well, and this is what's attractive about option investing. It's a right, it's not an obligation. In case of a futures contracts that we will discuss a little bit later in this block course, it is an obligation. This is a right, I just throw it away. So, an important conclusion here is that the most a buyer of a call option can lose is the option premium. Gain is potentially very high, potentially unlimited. All right, let me throw a curveball at you. Let's look at scenario 5. Let's say that the stock price equals $20.50. What is my profit or loss here? Well, I exercise this option, pocketing 50 cents, but since I paid $1 for the privilege, it's negative 50 cents. Is this option in the money? The answer is yes, it is. Yes, it is, because if you don't exercise this option, you lose $1. But if you exercise it, you lose 50 cents. And you have probably figured out by now that in this particular example, your break-even price will be $21. If the stock price is $21 or higher, you come out at that. All right, so let us draw this on a graph. How will this payoff diagram look like? So here we have stock price, and here we have profit and loss. Our kink in this graph will be our strike price of 20 bucks. If the stock price stays below 20, use a red color here, you just lose $1, and once the strike price is hit, it will go up. Okay. So for $21, you will have your break-even point, and then your payoffs will keep increasing for each dollar that your option gains, that your stock gains in price. Now, what about the seller? Again, it takes two to tango. For every option buyer, there is an option seller that in financial markets we call an option writer. And the key thing to remember here, I will not go through similar exercise, it's unnecessary. The key is to realize that it is a zero-sum game. You lose $1, option writer gains $1. You gain $1, option writer loses $1. So from the option writer's perspective, I will use the blue color here. Payoff diagram will look like this. Okay. One important thing to remember here is this. For you, the option buyer, it is a right, but not an obligation. For an option writer, if you choose to exercise your option, I have to honor it. I have to sell you that stock at 20 bucks, even if it potentially might cost me a lot. We will be discussing in classes for why would I want to do this. But yeah, these are the two payoff diagrams for call options. This is for a buyer, and this one is for a writer. I mean, this is also 20 bucks. Okay. Now, what about put options? I'll choose a different number. So let's say we have a put option with a strike of 50. So that option gives you a right to sell the stock at 50 bucks. So let's again run through a couple of scenarios. Oh, and my apologies, the option premium, we will also assume that it's $1, just again for the sake of simplicity. So what is my profit or loss here? Think of it this way. What am I going to do? I'm going to go to the market. I'm going to buy the stock at $24, and I will resell it to the option writer at 50 bucks, who has to buy it from me. I pocket $26 less the premium that I paid for this option, and my profit here is nice 25 bucks. Okay. Scenario 2. So let's say $43. Well, by now, I hope you are reasonably comfortable computing the payoffs here. So 7, buy at 43, sell at 50, pocket 7, less $1. My profit is 6 bucks. Now, what if my stock price is 68? Well, in this case, I throw my option into the garbage bin. Why? Because why on earth would I sell something for 50 if I can sell it for 68? My loss is $1. I'm not going to go through any more scenarios just for the sake of time. But again, if the stock price is higher than the strike price, it means that I will not exercise this option. It basically means I have a right to sell it at below the market price. Why on earth would I choose to exercise that right? But again, the most I can lose on a put option is the price that I paid for it, which is the premium. So on a graph, it will look like this. $50. So if the price is above 50, I'll use a red color here. I throw this option away. I lose that $1. And here, of course, the absolute best thing that can possibly happen to me is stock becomes worthless. I pick it up for free and sell it for 50 bucks. And my profit would be $49 there. Now for an option writer, and you get the idea. It is a zero-sum game. So the diagram will look like this. Each dollar that you lose is the dollar I gain, and vice versa. And again, the kink in this graph will come at 50 bucks. So to sum up, this is the payoff diagram of a buyer of a call option. This is a diagram for a seller of a call option. This is a buyer of a put option, and this is a seller of a put option. We have 4 Lego pieces from which we can build a whole bunch of different strategies. And all the strategies that we will be discussing in this class will be built from this: straddle, short straddle, covered call, protective put. All of them will be a combination of these four Lego pieces. Thank you very much for listening. And in my next video, I will be talking about the binomial option pricing model. How do we actually determine how much to pay for this option? Thank you.